Okay, welcome back to part two. So what I was saying in the last video, how I was ending, is that I put in the title and then I went into override parent page items so that I could adjust this, and then went in again later and put in this grid. So now when I go back to my page, this is editable, this is not. So these grid lines are going to stay here. So the reason why I want this is project 1 on this page, this is project 2 on this page. So I'm going to say project 2. And then maybe this is going to be the California style. So I'm just making this stuff up. You guys have specific things that you're working on your projects, and I know you have different titles for them already. So you can make those edits. And then on the last page, you would say contact. Why do I keep having trouble spelling this word? Contact. Okay. And then you know, it would be Kristen. Oh, that font looks really weird now, doesn't it? So I may end up changing that. So here I've got started to put in some pieces of layout. So what I want to do, I'm going to zoom in here, go up here. So this text, I actually used AI to create some California text. So we're at a point where as students and professionals, we want to make our life easier and we want to use AI where it makes sense. And for this, I just needed some text that just gave this feeling of the California coastline. So I asked it to create some California coast life text, and it gave me text that was twice as long as this, and it was a little bit hokey. But it gave me some nice words to use, like coastal towns are often vibrant with laid-back charm, cultural richness, and natural beauty. Sun-drenched seems a little hokey. I might not use that. But so I went in and I edited so it didn't sound like AI, because AI has, it doesn't feel grounded a lot of times. So, but it gave me some words like rhythmic lull. I mean, that's a nice word. And waves, soothing soundtrack to life. Actually, maybe I don't like that. Maybe I would rewrite it. Anyway, use it intelligently. You want to sound smart. And so just don't accept it the way it is. Go and edit it. And one other thing I should note too is you want to be careful about putting your work up on the internet, because AI is just going and, the internet is its source. So you want to protect your integrity, your design integrity, and not have it out there. A little side note there. So, but one thing I want to point out is this hyphen here. You want to avoid hyphens. There are going to be times where you're writing a very long document. It's going to have hyphens, and that's fine. But this is my intro paragraph here. So I do not want to have a hyphen in there. So I can put my cursor in there and I can hit return, and notice it gives me this bigger return. So if you hit shift and return, it breaks it so that it doesn't give it a hard return. So if I hit return, I get a hard return. And let me show you why it's giving that space in a minute. So I'm going to hit delete and hit shift return so it keeps it together. So the reason why I'm having that happen is because I have my type set up here. If I go to, here's the A, which is showing me some of the things that I control. Up here under paragraph, I have it set that I have this extra space below. So every time I start a new paragraph, where let me say strolling is going to be a new paragraph. So there it's giving me this extra space, which is not the same size as a return. It's a smaller amount of space. So I can go in and select this type, and I can go and change that to say 0.025 or 0.024. And so it's a smaller amount. But that's not enough, so I am going to, and I can just keep clicking until I get it right where I want it to do. So this is really helpful when you have a lot of text, because at some point you're going to be writing paragraphs of text and have columns of text. So this second set of controls here is really nice, and also you might have a subtitle here. So maybe I have California living is my title here. So I might have space after, because I want this to be even more, sorry, space before, which doesn't help. So I'm got it after here. Let me, space before would be, if I wanted to add space below, here I'm grappling with this. Let me do it with this. Sorry, here I have this text here, and I want this one, this little extra call out here to have more space before. So it's got, there's a space after this paragraph, that continued space, but then there's extra space here before this, because maybe I want this to be more of a bold line and bigger text. And this is going to come into play with your next assignment. So that's why I'm going over this. And I'll go over it again next week, 2 weeks too. So there I am going to hit Shift Return so that I do not have any hyphens in there. Okay, so now if I zoom out, I've got my paragraph text in there aligned within these guidelines here, but I have this one over a little bit because sometimes maybe I have this little word that I just want to get over that edge. So you can do that. But it basically is falling into this grid line. So here, this is falling into this grid line. Then over here, I have the grid line up higher. So the reason why you want to follow grid lines is because it's creating these proportions. So if I hit the W key when I don't have any text selected, I am starting to create this nice horizontal movement. So I have this blank space up here where I'm not putting anything up above that, so my title stands out. Even though this isn't aligned here, it might look a little awkward right now. It might, when the whole thing falls together, it might be better. Or I might decide, you know what, I want this to line up here. And that fits fine, and it looks good. So actually it felt a little awkward aligning here, so I will move it here. But when I hit the W, I want some other things to fall into line. So over here, I have these falling into line. And hit W again. So I want to point out how I have these things over here, and there's this visual horizontal line, and it's sort of falling right nicely where this building has this break in it. And so maybe I pull this building down a little, and I get that just the way I want it. Maybe I want to make this building a little bit larger, and I have these other shapes here. I want to show you how I can take all of these shapes together at once. And when I hold down on the Mac, it's Shift Option Command. So I'm using these 3 fingers here on my left side. So it might be different on the PC, but it's Shift Option Command is what I have. And you'll experiment and see which ones it is. So when I go over here to select all of these, have these 3 fingers out, when I pull it, it repositions and makes the proportion of all these different. But what I didn't have to do is I didn't have to go in and move and make the box bigger and then switch to the switching when you're trying to get the inside and switching to the other arrow, the outside. So I've got this shape floating within there. So what I'm trying to say is here you can see the W key so you can see better, zooming in. So here is the blue line is the framework, the window that my image is in, and then the gold or brown line is my image showing up in that window. So what I want is for essentially the window that I'm working with would be in the grid, and then move this down into my grid, and then I wiggle things around so that they're cropped where I like them, and then I can go and change it to a smaller proportion to fit in there. It's not fitting all the way, so I'll go back up here and hit more. One thing I want to make sure is you should double check and make sure your proportions are always the same. Sometimes if you move things a certain way, you might notice it looks stretched. So you want to make sure that those are always the same. See, all of these are the same proportions. So what I'm going to do is I can just go and hit those 3 fingers again, and I can move this down so it is not wiggling it out of the, it's keeping it cropped in the box the way I already have it cropped, if I like the way it's cropped. So I can try scooting this so I get it the right width and it's still fitting in the framework the same way. And this one, actually, this could really be cropped anywhere because it's just this pattern, and actually maybe I want this pattern to be proportionately larger, so I might go and put my hand in here and increase that percentage. Notice, because this is locked here, it is always going to keep it the same proportions so that the width and the height are proportioned evenly. If I break this and I change this proportion, just so you can see the way it's stretched out and these numbers are not equal. So I can click this back. Once I click, up or down, it goes and it proportions them right again, okay? So here, actually I want this proportion to be smaller though, so I can just go in and type a number so that the proportion of this pattern is relative to what I've got going on here. So I have all of these pictures evenly in this column, and even though this is not aligning exactly here or here, what I've done is I've fixed it so that this space, I'm eyeballing it, that this space right here is equal to the space that I've got between everything. So when I hit the W key, it looks nice and neat. I just noticed actually this it wasn't all the way over there, and so I'm running out of space, so I might just hit that one more just so I have enough artwork to fit in that space. So I'm really getting into the details here, which at some point that's where you're going to be, and I might move this down because I want to see a little bit more of that stair and thinking where exactly I crop this information. So these images that I have here, I don't have, I just took these from the internet and I'm using them because I don't have the sort of images you do, but I'm trying to imitate that you have, your interesting model that you've used, and then you've got your little images that you've drawn in different, I don't remember what you call them, but you've got these all those little line drawings that you have repeated in different proportions. So you're going to have some of those, maybe you don't want that many, maybe you color some of them, maybe I decide, you know what, maybe I don't want all of those and this was enough. So you're making these decisions as you go along. So now I'm going to work on the cover. And so the cover, I'm using that same grid, and I may want to, just completely fudge it. I'm going to hit the W and see if this feels right. And this feels a little bit too far over to the left now. So I'm going to move that over, and then maybe I like that better. Feels too close here. I might move that up. I like the way modular home is sort of fitting around my drawing here. And so I'm looking at this type, and it feels like the type here, but I'm changing it to really fit with what I'm doing as this real impact thing. And so if it's not lining up with all this, that's fine. I look and I see this is kind of close to where that horizontal spot is, so maybe I go and drag all of this and actually move it up. And then I am going to hit the W key to hide that again, and that looks fine, so I think I might leave it. So now this image, what I also did, I was playing with AI here, and I wanted a California, oops, I just stretched it, a California coast. So what I did was I am going to switch over to here. I have gone into Adobe. You've got your Adobe icon here, and so I opened that and went into Adobe stock, so I can say California beach sunset and search, and it's showing me all of these beautiful sunset images. And I can go into here and just say that I want it to be, it says all images, I can do 3D, I can do templates. So you can change that to what you want because it's giving me drawings too. One thing I want to point out, if it looks too funky, if you scroll over here, this is AI. That looks really wacky and you might not want that. This one looks more genuine to me. It's not AI. Over here, this looks kind of weird. Is it AI? Nope, I'm heading over here and it's not showing up. So you can double check by sort of hovering in the lower corner to see whether something's been AI generated. Because you might want it to be actual, where this one's telling me it's AI generated. Sometimes you can tell, sometimes you can't. Like this one I thought kind of was, but it's not. So the other thing is you can create something with AI if you want to. So if you go in here and you hit generate, you can say California sunset beach with palm tree, which I don't know how many palm trees are on California beaches, but so, and then it goes and does it for me. So this is an option for you if you really wanted to have something special. So there it's giving me a palm tree on a California sunset, and it's going to be AI. So, you know, this is okay to use AI because it's just atmospheric. But again, if there are never any palm trees on a California coast, you don't want to use something that doesn't make sense. So again, AI is there, a tool for you to use, but you want to use it responsibly because you want to have credibility. And so if you're creating something that doesn't make sense, but yet you want to show something that says, all right, I'm creating this really beautiful house for you that's on the coast, and there's no palm tree there now, but we know that palm trees can grow in California on the coast, and so we're going to put one in your yard. So and it doesn't exist there now. So again, when you want to open up the possibility of something that can really has potential to happen, then that's how you could do that. So I created a circle and I put my sunset in the circle. You don't have to always have things in